Alrighty, and welcome back to the Mother-Daughter Disney podcast. My name is Amanda. I'm here with my lovely mother.
Hi, I'm Janette.
And today I'm excited because we recently saw Beauty and the Beast on tour. So this is the national tour of Beauty and the Beast, and we saw it in Philadelphia at the Kimmel Center. So we're just going to give our general review of it. So we saw it on February 15th at 1 p.m., So we did see the matinee. We're definitely matinee people. If we can see a matinee, we'll definitely be at the matinee. So overall, in general, without any spoils, without any review, would you recommend this show to someone if they said like, "Oh, I'm thinking of seeing it. Should I go?"
Oh yeah, I thought it was a very nice show.
Yeah.
I mean, Beauty and the Beast is a nice show no matter when you see it or how you see it. If I thought that this was the best version of Beauty and the Beast I've ever seen, no. But I think it was still a very nice production in a very nice theater. But it was a very nice, it's a very nice theater, obviously. Very, very opulent, very like that old-fashioned theater. So it's nice for kids to go there and see that. And I thought it was okay.
Yeah, so I would also recommend it overall. I put in my notes, if you are a Beauty and the Beast fan, yes, I would recommend. If you are a theater-loving fan, I would recommend. I would say if you don't really care that much about Beauty and the Beast or to see this show, I would say maybe it would not be worth it.
Oh, no, I would not spend the money.
So, for instance, let's get into some of the logistics. So, before we saw the show, now I'm a big theater person. I did theater in high school. My high school actually did Beauty and the Beast when I was in high school, so I have a very personal attachment to Beauty and the Beast as well.
Right.
And so when we were going to see it, I know the production, I would say a little bit better than the average fan, just because I did it myself. And when we were doing it, we did a lot of research into the production of Beauty and the Beast. And so because of that, I had heard when the show started, there were almost no promo photos. There were very few reviews outside of the critics' reviews types of thing. And not many people were talking about it when it first premiered. So that was interesting because me and my friends who also saw it with us as well were like, what's wrong with the show? How come no one's talking about it?
Right.
Now, it's not uncommon for a national show to have a pared down set, use more imagination, let's say a smaller cast because it's on tour, right? However, that is basically, in my opinion, kind of what the show was. There wasn't really a lot of set pieces. While the costumes were beautiful, not a lot of set pieces. A lot of things were done with projection. A lot of things were kind of, again, up to the imagination, which again isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, if you have seen the full scale productions that Broadway has done back in the 90s,
it doesn't even compare.
that Australia had done during the Australia run on their version of Broadway, those scales of productions are much bigger and much more grand than I would say this production is. Now, again, it also depends per theater, right? Because it's on tour. And an inside scoop, my friend Tyler has actually done shows in the Kimmel Center before, and he knows from his show when they were on tour that the fly space is very small in this theater. Yeah. So it's possible they cut set pieces out too of our show because the theater was too small. So that's a possibility too. I don't know what other theaters would have that are bigger, but just to say that.
Right.
So because we had heard of this, I decided, because originally I was like, we're going to get the best tickets, right? Orchestra, whatever. But when I heard that the show didn't really have a big set, it was like no one was really talking about it. I was just like, well, I'm not spending a lot of money on this show then, right? So we got in our theater the lowest price seats you could get. And this was in, the top balcony type of thing all along the back.
Top balcony.
So our tickets were $95 each. And when I was saying we were sitting in the uppermost ring of the theater, legit, my husband sat in the last row of this entire theater, right? So the tickets in general are ranging between $100 to $300, with some tickets closer to $400 if you're right in the front in the orchestra or something. But it really depends on the theater, depends on the time, of course. So it depends.
I think
right?
that's overpriced.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely overpriced. But I have to say, when we're talking about the theater itself, I have to say that I did not know what the tickets costed. I did not know what anything. My daughter treated me to the show. She did everything. I didn't have to do anything but show up. It was very wonderful. I really enjoyed the day. I really enjoyed the fact that I was being treated to something where I didn't have to make the plans. I didn't have to do anything but show up. So I didn't know what the tickets cost. And it's not that it was a bad thing to be in the balcony, but I think that if I was going to go to a show, I would stay in the balcony because this was above the balcony.
Yeah.
The balcony was even a separate staircase. This one was all the way at the top. And I have to say to you that somebody, especially with my eyesight, I use readers to read, but I can see distance. I have no idea what these people look like at all. We saw mostly the tops of their heads. I didn't know what they look like. I just saw a color of the costumes and stuff, and the costumes look very nice, but it's a tall balcony, so it is kind of tough. So if you can spend a little bit more money, I would spend the balcony, but I would not pay $400.
I was willing to spend again whatever it would have cost to stay in the orchestra if I thought the show was going to be good, but because I knew it wasn't going to be that good, that's why I bought the tickets.
I don't blame you,
because I was like, this isn't worth it for me to spend over $1,000 for each person to go to this to this show. So yes, that's where we got again, the lowest price seats.
And it was still enjoyable. Like I said, it was still enjoyable. I mean, I think it was, like you said, overall, if you're a Beauty and the Beast fan, you like the music, you like the costumes, you like whatever, I think it was a very nice show.
So the show is still touring into 2027. They have dates in cities that are being announced periodically still.
Okay.
So if you go on the website, the official Beauty and the Beast tour website, and you don't see your city in the lineup, it's possible they will keep announcing more shows into 2027. So for instance, for the rest of 2026, they're going to places like Connecticut, Massachusetts, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, Arizona, California, Nevada, Utah, Ohio, Maryland, and again, many more locations as well too.
Wow. Okay.
And multiple cities in some of these locations as well. So, all right, so let's get into the cast real quick. So for the cast, I'm just going to do some of the main characters. Belle is being played by Kira Bell Johnson, which I think is so cute. Her middle name is Belle. So the Beast is being played by Fergie L. Felipe. Gaston is played by Stephen Mark Lucas, although we actually saw an understudy Gaston during during our showing.
It didn't have a paper in there. Usually there's a paper in there.
They don't always do that for national tours. Lumiere is played by Danny Gardner. Cogsworth was Javier Ignacio, and Mrs. Potts was Kathy Voitko. And for the creative, it's directed by Matt West. The scenic designer is Stanley A. Meyer. The costume designer is Anne Howard Ward. I wanted to call her out because I did think the costumes were very beautiful.
They were.
The production stage manager is Andrew Balchalupo, and the stage manager is Caitlin Kellermeyer. So, all right, let's go into some history now of the general Beauty and the Beast productions, right? The first Beauty and the Beast stage production was in 1993 in Houston, running from November 28th to December 26th, 1993. It then went to Broadway shortly after, becoming the first Disney musical to be on Broadway. So very exciting. I feel like that history alone is just really exciting to just think about. The show began previews on Broadway at the Palace Theater on March 9th, 1994, with it officially opening on April 18th, 1994, and it remained on Broadway until July 29th, 2007. It did switch from the Palace Theater to the L'Enfant Theater in the fall of 1999, although I couldn't tell why they switched theaters.
Year we saw it? I don't remember what
I do not know. Somewhere between 2000 and 2007.
Right.
So the musical closed on July 29th, 2007 after 46 previews, 5,461 performances, and it's the Broadway's 11th longest running production in history as of December 2025. It's said that the Broadway production closed to make way for Disney's next new musical venture, which was The Little Mermaid. So Walt Disney had set to open its Broadway version Little Mermaid on November 3rd, 2007, and at the time Disney was concerned that having two Disney princess films on Broadway at the same time would divide the audiences and cause too much competition between their own shows. So that's why they actually pulled Beauty and the Beast. Now, also at the same time, to note, if they had Beauty and the Beast still on, at the same time in 2007, Disney had 3 other Broadway shows running. They had The Lion King, Tarzan, and Mary Poppins, and then they were opening, in theory, their 5th one. So I understand why they wanted to pull one of them out to make room for another. It is reported that the Disney theatrical planned to revive the show on Broadway for the 2008 holiday season, but Disney did not pursue this. And some inside scoop as well. Now, the only reason why I know this is because, again, one of my friends works in the Broadway sphere, so he knows this just from a guy who knows a guy, right? So take this with a grain of salt, take this as a rumor. But there is a big rumor in 2019 that Beauty and the Beast is going to come back to Broadway but what happened was that after the success of the live action Aladdin movie, the Aladdin musical ticket sales went up. So Disney didn't want the competing shows on Broadway, so they postponed closing Aladdin and postponed the production of Beauty and the Beast, which is crazy. I think Aladdin was supposed to close in 2019 and it's still on Broadway today.
I know, it's still there.
Years later. So then when the COVID pandemic of 2020 happened, the production was put on hold indefinitely, and this was actually so much so that Frozen the musical closed on Broadway in 2020, and they said Frozen closed between a mix of COVID and, again, that musical, out of the 3 that they had on Broadway at the time, Frozen was actually doing the worst. So that's why Frozen closed in comparison, because, again, Aladdin had that big boost from the movie, which is also funny because the Aladdin live action movie was considered not good in comparison to the other live action movies. So it's funny that movie saved the Broadway production, even though a lot of people didn't like that live action.
You never know.
It's just interesting, right? So going forward, it's rumored that Disney doesn't want competing shows on Broadway in New York City itself. So it's unlikely for another full-scale Broadway production to go back to New York City at this time. So instead, that was why Beauty and the Beast got moved from being a Broadway show into a national tour instead. Okay. Now, obviously, never say never. There again, Frozen was on at the same time as Lion King and Aladdin as well too, and then they closed it. But again, it had a very short period of run. Now, it's one of those things where in the future, who knows what will happen? You know, it's like if they don't want all these competing shows on Broadway, like I get it, it's expensive and everything. But I do think it's just sad in the sense that it would be fun to have more like Disney Broadway musicals on Broadway, you know, because it is a much different type of production than a tour.
See them.
And again, Frozen the musical has done extremely well in other countries as well too, like spanning years, right? That has been on like the West End and other countries, and you know, in Scandinavia and in Australia and stuff. So again, just thinking of all the musicals that have closed over the years, and Lion King is still going, right? Lion King was the second musical.
Lion
actually
King is still going.
Yeah, again, it's just one of those interesting things when you think about it. It's like maybe we won't see another one, or if they do, it'll be another short run, or if they just do another national tour. So all right, so let's talk about the history of the tour itself. There have been 5 national tours of Beauty and the Beast in the US, and the current Beauty and the Beast tour production is based on the UK and the Australian productions of the show, which is why I thought it was going to be better than it was, because I've heard Australia was very good, but alas, again, it was still a good show. It just wasn't as top tier as I thought it was going to be. And the tour was officially, I put the tour was officially announced on insert date. I don't know what the date was. I can't remember when the date was. But it was announced when the tour was going, and as soon as the tour was announced, we all knew immediately we were going to get tickets for it, right? All right, so now we're going to walk through, again kind of the overall story of the tour. I'm going to compare it very lightly to the movies. All right, and we're going to focus on the technical aspects of the show, musical numbers, and the overall character portrayals. So first, let's start with the Enchantress transition. So the transitions in the other shows is often done with a fly rig, where the actor is hoisted like into the sky, so to speak. But here, because we were sitting so far up, I could tell immediately that there was no fly rig attached to her. I could just tell that just from looking at her. Because we were sitting so up, I could also see that the front half of like the beggar woman was extremely long and like a weird shape, and I was just like, wow, that's a weird shape, which then made sense because the transition was that front half of the puppet basically lifting up. So then she transitioned into this like contraption where she lifted up and was basically taller than life, right? So that's what it was, with this huge long billowing dress beneath her.
I wasn't crazy about the front part of it.
Yeah, the Enchantress. Yeah, I wasn't either. I think the fly rigs I think are more interesting, at least. Now the Beast transformation, they used a lot of flashing lights throughout this entire production overall. There are a lot of warnings before.
There's a warning
about
strobe lights, right?
Yeah, so there's a lot of flashing lights. Basically, the way they do it, the screen just like the stage just goes dark, right? There's flashing lights, the stage goes dark, and then he's there. So it's very quick, I would say, and they do that for a lot, I would say, of the technical aspects, which is fine to do. I think it is what it is. So we don't actually necessarily see the full transition. I'm assuming it was likely 2 different actors, which again, very common for the Beast transition is almost always 2 different actors, because you need to have one actor in full makeup and one actor not in makeup. So again, was still good. All right, so the first song is actually called Belle, funny enough. So one of the things that Shannon had pointed out I keep saying things that we don't like about this. I feel bad, but it's just like things you remember, right? Things you don't like. She said a lot of the townspeople were dancing with books, which bothered her because she was like, the whole point is the fact that no one reads and Belle is different because she's the reader.
The books.
So she's like, why are all the people dancing with books? She said, like, she pointed out, she's like, some of them were holding the books upside down, but she was like, the fact that she could see that from where we were sitting.
I can't believe it from where we were sitting.
But I did notice that too, that they were dancing with the books. I didn't really think anything of it, honestly.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the idea that Belle is supposed to be the only one who really reads in the town, but like even the silly girls all had books in their hands, like dancing around with these books, and it's like, okay. So again, I just knew this going. The set again was pretty sparse as well too. Again, not uncommon for the tourists to have a sparse set, but still pretty sparse.
That wasn't as noticeable as later on, but yes, it was sparse.
And I know you said you felt like there were a lot of townspeople. I remember you said you felt like the stage was very empty at parts during the scene.
Yes, during that scene, I thought that later on there were a lot more people in the scenes. I said, where were they all when the townspeople were supposed to be there?
So I have a note about that later on, and I think that'll get to. But all right, so up next is the scene between Maurice and Belle and her father. So they cut the song No Matter What, which is in the musical, and it's not in any of the movies, but it is in the musical though. And it's basically just a song about how Maurice loves Belle, unconditionally for the most part. Why the song was cut from the production, I'm not 100% sure why. I would assume maybe the actor is not a big singer or something like that, is what I'm assuming. So they just chose to cut it and try to save space for other areas, as we'll get to make other scenes longer, essentially. Now, what I thought was so funny in the scene is that the whole idea is that Maurice is creating this contraption, right? That he's an inventor. So to see Maurice driving around on a mobility scooter that you can rent in Disney World, I thought was really funny. It's like, not this man just driving around on a mobility scooter you can get in Epcot, right? Okay. I was like, that is basically what the contraption was. And so,
didn't even dawn on me. Okay.
It was like, it still looked good. It was just funny because someone who's gone to Disney World so many times, are like, that is a mobility scooter that you can get in the parks. Right. So just to say that on that. All right, up next is the wolf scene. So this is when Maurice is attacked by the wolves and he has to go to the castle. And in all of our opinions, I thought the scene was not good in my personal opinion. No. Again, I think this was the only scene I thought was bad, if I'm being honest. Everything else, some things I was like, oh, this is good. It is what it is. The wolf scene, I didn't think it was that great. Essentially, they have a skim come down in the front, and then it's all projections and lights. Now, I did know this going into the show that I heard the wolf scene was all projections and lights. Now, for reference, in other productions of the show, they will use puppets. They'll use actors dressed as wolves or something like that. Right. Again, the puppets usually the most dramatic ones that I've ever seen. And again, even like larger than life puppets, like you see in The Lion King, how the animals are all done with puppets. So for this to be done with projections and lights and the actors just like sitting on stage by themselves was, I don't know, I just don't think it felt very cheap, honestly.
I think I didn't notice as much as it was that, as I still feel that every one of those first scenes was rushed through. I felt like they rushed you into the castle. They rushed past Belle and Gaston. They rushed past the wolves and the thing of the father going to the thing. They rushed right into it. It just seemed that all of a sudden it was boom, 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 boom. Here we are. We're at the castle. And I said, wait a minute. There should have been more lead up to.
I mean, like, I will say I've always said that about Beauty and the Beast in a general sense, that the live action actually had a reason for it, but the original script didn't, where it's like, how do these town people not know this huge castle is there with this beast and people, right? It's like, how come they don't know that exists? It's like around the corner from where they live,
it's right there in the woods.
Now in the live action movie, they say that the spell casted like a forgetting thing on the townspeople, so that's why they don't remember why the castle's there unless they physically see it. So the live action like fixed that plot hole. But I've always kind of said that about Beauty and the Beast. It's like, how do they not know that this castle is here?
Exists?
It's like, it seems like it's just right around the corner from their village, right? Like, I don't know, but I do agree. It seems like they got there very quickly. I think that's just Beauty and the Beast.
The whole transition, the transition of the witch, and then everything else going just went so fast that I was like, oh wow, this is gonna be a fast play because this is all just going so fast.
All right, so then Maurice gets to the castle again, very sparse set, but that was to be expected basically at this point. Now I will say I thought the costumes on the enchanted people were great. I really liked them. I thought the costumes were great.
Beautiful.
I'll say every actor in this show did such a phenomenal job with their characters.
They did. I think
singing wise,
the
incredible.
Beast, his voice,
Beast, incredible.
Oh my God, he was good.
Yeah.
Yes.
The chemistry between like Cogsworth, Lumiere, and Mrs. Potts, great. They all played off each other so well, so entertaining.
Yeah, no, honestly. I thought that was very good.
Yeah, they were honestly the highlights. The actors were the highlights of this show, that's for sure.
Yes.
So, all right, so then we get to the song "Me" is a song that Gaston sings to Belle when he's trying to convince her to marry him. And so we actually had an understudy for Gaston, and he did very well, I would say. Okay. I think the only thing with him is that he's not a physically large man. So he was kind of an average sized man. So it's kind of funny when he's singing about his big muscles and all this stuff. And I'm like, for this normal sized man, all respect to him, I don't think you should be changing your body drastically for these roles. But he sounded great though, sang great. It was really good. Loved him. So, and it's funny, "Me" has never been my favorite song from Beauty and the Beast. It's like, it's a very long song for kind of nothing to a certain extent. So anyway, so then obviously Belle rejects him. Now there are different iterations of the show. There's different reasons why Belle realizes, that her father is missing. So here it's because LeFou has Maurice's scarf that he found in the forest. In the woods. Again, another reason is just like, how come people are just in the woods finding stuff, right? Like, what's going on in the woods? So Belle goes looking for a father, finds the castle relatively quickly, right? Again, a plot hole, I think, in all Beauty and the Beast iterations, except for the live action Beauty and the Beast. So it's like, where did this castle come from? So again, a mystery to all of us. So she gets to the castle, takes her father's place as we normally know in the dungeons and everything. And then Belle sings the song called "Home," and this is when she sings when she gets like to her room and she's kind of questioning if this is her new home and she needs to learn to be happy here. Now I love this song. So when this song started, this song was so sped up in this musical, it was shocking. It's like, Tyler said that he like backtracked being like, what is going on here? And I think they cut a verse too, but I'm not 100% sure. But "Home" was sped up, like this girl speed singing in the song. Sounded beautiful singing, of course, but it was just a fast song was all. So all right, so then Belle meets the enchanted people. I don't know what they're called, enchanted, because they're not really objects, I suppose. Enchanted people, enchanted objects, a mix between the two, I suppose.
Well, it's a mix between being human and being an enchanted object. Yes.
So I put a memory in here, so I'll always think back. It's funny because in the live action movie, when she first meets all the enchanted objects, she picks up this hairbrush and she says hello to the hairbrush, and everyone else is just giggling at her, being like, that's just a hairbrush, and she like puts it down embarrassed. And I'm like, you are a talking clock, a talking candelabra, and you think that she can't talk to the hairbrush? I always think that's so funny. It's like, sorry, I would have thought I could talk to the hairbrush too. Okay. So I'm talking to a clock. But anyway, though. Okay. So then we go back to the townspeople, and this is where we get the song Gaston. So Gaston is actually in the original movie as well. And this is, again, one of those things where so many scenes and songs are sped up, but then this song was extremely elongated.
Okay, here's my critique here, because that was the first thing I said when we got out to intermission. Is this supposed to be Gaston and the Beast or Beauty and the Beast?
It was a very long scene, and they added a lot more dancing.
Past so much stuff to do with Belle, but every scene with Gaston was elongated.
Yeah, it's like they added like triple the amount of dancing to the scene.
That's when I noticed all these people.
And they still had the cups, because the cups were kind of the staple of this song.
Yeah, that's the same.
But they had a lot of extra partner dancing in this song that is not in other productions.
I was like, okay, when is this going to end?
Now, the main reason why I thought this intro was interesting, because then, so after this scene, then we go to How Long Must This Go On, which is only in the musical, and this is after like Belle rejects having dinner with the Beast, so the Beast sings this song. He did add a little bit more humor here with the Beast, maybe so that the Beast isn't as scary for the kids in the audience, which I thought was fine. But again, so we have Gaston, a big, huge dance number, and then we go to Be Our Guest, another big, huge dance number.
Okay, now can we talk about that?
Well, so real quick, so now you're having your ensemble cast do 2 major dance numbers almost back to back with just one short scene in the middle, which I thought was just interesting that they decided to elongate Gaston to have more dancing when you're about to have the bigger dance number of Act 1.
The biggest dance number of Beauty and Beast is Be My Guest.
Yeah, so now we're at Be Our Guest. So
Okay. Should I give my critique of Be My Guest?
Yeah.
There was no food.
Yeah, so no one is dressed as food. Not
no
a single
food.
person.
They came out with like this gold forks and spoons that they were dancing with.
They're supposed to be the cutlery.
And I'm not saying that they should have had like a lot of food, but it's supposed to be that they're feeding her. At the end of the dance, somebody came out with this sad looking stuffed cake.
I think it's just because we were so high up, it looked really small.
And a sad looking cream puff thing, and put it on the table. But while they're dancing, there was no fake food. There was no table with
no
food
one is
on
dressed
it.
as food, basically. Now, it is common for you're assumed that the girls are supposed to be the napkins, which is very popular for the musical, that you have the napkins dance. But yeah, 2 food props, and all to say, Chip doesn't even say try the gray stuff. It's delicious. I don't know if
No, he did. You didn't hear it? Oh, I heard it.
I don't think he said it.
I heard it. I heard try the gray stuff. It's delicious. I don't know if he said it.
I think someone else said it.
Somebody else may have said it. Somebody said it.
Normally, Chip is the one who says it.
Oh, he says that?
Shannon had said that she didn't think Chip said it. So
okay, maybe he didn't say it. I know I heard it.
Now, it's possible the actor who plays Chip is only like 6, I think. So it's possible he's a 6-year-old child.
Okay, so maybe they didn't make him
someone
give him
else,
that line.
Maybe someone else said the line.
I don't know who said it. I remember hearing it. Okay,
yeah, but also I put in here, Chip low-key did the least in the show. He really was just there to sit in that cart and be wheeled around.
I know. So. I got to tell you, when that scene ended, I was like, okay.
So they elongated this scene as well, too. They had a lot of dancing. Again, dancing was very good. They did have this very interesting synchronized swimming part of the choreography. That was very interesting. We were all a little confused at, and like,
it was like we were back in the 1930s.
Yeah, we were sitting really high up, right? So we could actually see kind of the top down of the synchronized swimming. Now, for those in the orchestra, they had like a screen in the back where they showed it from the top down, so the orchestra people could see it too. And it was just interesting. So I'm just like, wow, this was a choice. So I don't know if I would do synchronized swimming on a stage production again like that. I don't think that really was super successful. No. It was very interesting, I would say, and it was I think there's beauty in every chord, but it was just interesting though. And I think I don't know where my note is. Oh, this is where I have. And I think this is the biggest con, I would say, for the show, is that it's a very small ensemble cast. So when you only have, 10 to 12 people in your ensemble, not including any of the main characters. So when you have such a small ensemble cast, there's only so much you can do and only so many quick changes those actors can make.
Right.
So for instance, you can't have, partners dancing. If you have 6 people dancing with partners on stage, then you can only have so many people changing costumes into like different food related costumes and doing different things on the stage.
Right.
Because basically everyone's on the stage already. You can't do anything else. So, and even when you fill the whole stage with your entire ensemble cast, they had a lot of the main characters just kind of in the background twirling in like little circles because I feel like they're just trying to fill the stage because there just weren't enough people to fill the stage basically. And again, it's like I've seen other productions of the show. Obviously when my high school did it, it's like, high schools always have big productions because they're trying to include as many kids as possible, of course.
Right.
But in that sense, is one person gets cast as like, as the cheese grater, right? And so the cheese grater comes out, he has a moment, and then he leaves. But then that fills the scene though to a certain extent where multiple people are coming out filling the scene with different characters or different moments. Whereas again, with such a small ensemble, you can't do that because you need to have people on stage the whole time. So again, I think that is the biggest crux of the entire show, is just a small ensemble for a show that should have a bigger ensemble, especially if you're going to have these big dance numbers. Because now the dance numbers feel like lessened because there aren't really that many people dancing. So, so again, that I would say that's the biggest con, and I think a lot of the criticisms we have kind of stem from that to a certain extent, right? Because again, that's the same with going back to the opening scene as well too. There's only so many people that can be on stage at a certain time, where they're trying to show the idea of people walking around the village. Well, as soon as one person exits, another person enters, and you only have 10 people in the ensemble, the stage is always going to look a little empty to a certain extent.
And I didn't think that was a problem actually, with the stage looking a little empty. I didn't find that a problem. Like I said, they were very good. The dances were very good.
But again, it just affects the amount of characters you can have in the background, because there's only so many things that your ensemble can do, right? So all right, so then Act 1 ends If I Can't Love Her, which is is honestly one of the best songs in the entire show. Again, the actor did such a beautiful job singing this song.
Yes.
This is a very famous song too in general in the theater community. And again, he did such a beautiful job singing this.
He had a great voice.
I was like, this is why he got cast as the Beast. It's like the way he did this song. Very, very moving.
He was also very funny. Like
he was very funny.
He was very flippant about certain things, and it came off really well.
Yeah.
So I got to give him credit.
Yeah, his portrayal of the Beast was really good.
Yes, he was
really
good.
Loved him. All right, so then we have a 20-minute intermission, which is a little bit longer than the normal 15-minute intermission. I think that's just because there's kids, I guess. I don't know. So because we went to the matinee, there were a lot of children at our show.
God, yes.
A lot of little girls in Bella dresses, which is honestly so cute.
When we get to the Belle scene, I have a critique about that too.
Yes, no, it's okay. We'll get there because I think we have the same one. So, all right, so now we're in Act 2. So the previous act had ended with the Beast scaring Belle about the rose. So Act 2 begins with Belle being attacked by the projections of wolves, which was really bad again. Looked just as bad the second time around.
Yeah, it wasn't any better.
And so then they get back to the castle, and then this is when we have the song, Something There. Same as the movie, where everyone collectively realizes that maybe the Beast isn't so bad, and maybe Belle isn't so gung-ho on being like against the Beast, right? So then we get into my favorite song of the whole show, which is Human Again. Now, I've always loved Human Again for many years, even before my high school did Beauty and the Beast. So the ensemble came out in these white outfits dressed as humans, and they did these interpretive dances behind the main cast. So as the main cast is singing, when they're human again, this is what I would do. They just kind of stood behind them, mimicking basically what they were doing, like an interpretive dance. I thought that was really cool. Yeah. I did really like that. Again, another struggle with the smaller ensemble here, because again, it just felt very empty to a certain extent. Again, I did still love the song overall. Mason de Lunes was a song cut from the musical. Honestly makes sense, because in this version of the production, Gaston and LeFou just come up on their own to get Maurice thrown into the asylum and to get Belle to marry him. So they just basically cut that whole character out from the most part.
Yeah, they cut a lot of that out.
Which I think is fair. Honestly, that song doesn't really add a whole lot to the musical. All right, so now we get into Beauty and the Beast, the main crux of the entire show, right? Be Our Guest and Beauty and the Beast are the two most famous songs of Beauty and the Beast, right?
That's what you're going for.
So I'll start with the positives. Her dress was beautiful.
Oh,
it was so glittery.
The costumes
so beautiful.
I mean, even from where we were, I could see that those costumes were gorgeous.
So beautiful, so glittery. Even the Beast's costume too, the bright royal blue, so pretty. Beautiful. Honestly, again, there's nothing bad to say about any of these costumes. No. Every costume was gorgeous, honestly, and her dress was genuinely the best part of this entire scene. I love seeing her dress. I wish she wore the dress longer, right? The dress was so nice. Sorry, do you want to do your critique
my
first?
Critique is that was too short.
Yeah, that's what I said too.
Especially after I thought Gaston was too long. When we got to that scene, I'm sitting there going, every other seat in this theater is a girl dressed in that dress. They came to see that scene. Kids don't care about the rest of it to a certain extent. They wanted to see her in that dress dancing with the Beast. It was short.
It was shocking because every other song seemed to be elongated and add more dancing to. And then this musical number, it was like not shortened necessarily, but it was just of average
And it was
length.
the one scene where they didn't need anybody else on this.
Because you just have Mrs. Potts singing in the corner. And then, again, they could have just had Mrs. Potts staying there and added a few extra bars of dancing. And I was just surprised that they just cut out, or not cut out, they didn't elongate this scene.
No,
I agree.
Didn't elongate that
if
scene.
you were going to elongate other scenes, I think this should have been the scene
that's
to
the one
elongate,
they should have
to add more
elongated to a
waltzing.
certain extent.
Now I do know dancing to this song is very difficult because it's a waltz dance to a 4-time song. So I know it's very hard to dance a waltz to this song.
I don't care how difficult it is.
The dance that they did was very pretty. They didn't really actually waltz at all. I would argue they did a very different type of dance. Like it was still within the waltz style, but not the typical box style that you would see in this musical. But again, it was just shocking that they didn't elongate the scene. I was like, because for instance, in the live action movie, and I don't think, not in the cartoon movie, but in the live action movie, Belle actually stays in the yellow dress for the rest of the film, basically until the very end, because when she leaves, so of course after this, the Beast lets Belle go with the mirror and everything. She runs back to her dad and everything, whatever. So again, in the live action movie, she stays in the yellow dress because she leaves immediately, because then in the mirrors you see Maurice being thrown into like the asylum.
Oh, okay.
And this version of the production, she just sees her dad lost in the woods, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah,
I was like,
changed
goodness gracious, we need to keep this man out of the woods. So rather than being thrown in asylum, so she still leaves. So she changes in theory back to her blue dress and then goes back to her dad, which I guess is fine too. Also in real life, I'm sure they're trying to preserve the yellow dress too. I'm sure it was a very expensive dress to make. Still, so I understand there. I put in here, someone needs to stop
the room. I got to tell you.
I put in my notes, someone needs to stop letting people wander into the woods. So Belle gets back to her dad. We somehow still get the mob song, which I thought was really funny. And then after the mob song, they all decide to go attack the Beast. My main critique here is that there was no castle fight scene between the objects and the people. Now, obviously, you can't do this when there is not enough ensemble. So if your whole ensemble is dressed for the mob scene fight, then you can't have any enchanted objects, in the thing fighting either.
Because they can't change costumes.
We didn't have that. So the only fight scene we saw was between Beast and Gaston, which I think is fine too.
Well, that's fine.
Also, I'm sure too they probably didn't want to be too scary for the kids, so
that was fine.
So and then so there was one set piece in this scene that was made for Gaston to fall. I say in quotes, right? I thought it was funny because it's the only time we see this one set piece. I'm like, wow, it's like out of all the set pieces from the make, they decided to make that set piece. So I was like, interesting. Why didn't we use that in other scenes or something like that? But anyway, so Gaston of course falls. When he falls, the stage just goes to black and Gaston is gone. I'm assuming he just jumped down to safety, of course.
Right.
When the lights come back on, Beast is on the ground and he was looking real stiff. Let me tell you, that man looked real stiff, right? So this is just my idea, so I don't know for sure, obviously. I think there was some kind of mask on his face because when he was fighting Gaston, he always kind of kept his face, like his back to the audience, hiding his face. I don't think it was something different. I think the actor just had a mask on his face instead, and that he just removed the mask when the transformation happened.
Oh, okay.
And so when the transformation starts, he kind of spins in the circle in the air. I will say it was pretty cool. I wasn't expecting that necessarily, but he kind of rises in the air. He's spinning in this circle. There's a bunch of flashing lights because they love the flashing lights in here for transition. And then he turns back into a human, right, with like his normal hair and everything. So that's why I think it was kind of a mask. But when he was laying there, I was trying to like figure it out a little bit. But again, you never know for sure. Like production magic is always very interesting. Right. So all right, so then everyone is back to human again. Everyone's very excited. The biggest applause was for Chip, which I thought was really funny.
I thought that was right
because Chip truly does the least in this show.
Least in the show,
but people just love to see a cute little kid on stage, right? So
comes running across the show into Mrs. Potts' arms.
Yeah, so everyone just loves that, right? Just makes you get a little bit teary-eyed. I did cry a lot during the show, actually. I will say. So I know I'm critiquing it a lot, but I actually cried a lot during the show. But I went through multiple tissues. I brought my tissues because I knew I was going to go through multiple tissues.
Didn't cry at all.
It's just because I love the music and I love the story so much.
As a general thing, Beauty and the Beast is always a fun show.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful show. It's got great music. It's got a great storyline. It's got lots of humor. It's got everything you're looking for. And if you're looking to go out for a day and go to a nice production of Beauty and the Beast, it's fine.
Yeah, it was definitely fun.
Like I said, my only thing is I would not sit up where we were. I would sit down a little further.
If you can, but at the same time, though, I still thought it was great from where I sat. I was sitting in the second to last. Originally, I was in the last row. Then my husband switched with me, and so I was in the second to last row.
We were like 2 rows in front of her.
Yeah. So I also, and even from where we sat, I still thought it was great. Again, it was hard to see some detail on the stage, but if I'm being honest, there wasn't a lot to see on the stage.
No, there wasn't. You didn't really
it's not like there was
much.
A lot to see on the stage. If I'm being really honest.
Right.
And again, the best parts of the show was the singing of the actors, beautiful singing, and the costumes again were beautiful too. Again, I would have liked to see the costumes a little bit more up close, but even so, again, I still had a great time.
I think generally as a show, it was fine. I don't think it's the best Beauty and the Beast production I've ever seen, but I think, we've seen a couple of them. I think it was a good day out. I did enjoy it.
Yes, so did I. But all right, so let us know. Are you going to go see Beauty and the Beast on tour? Would love to know your thoughts of Beauty and the Beast. Where you were saying it's like, love the show, absolutely wonderful. Have never seen another production, so this is my only reference to it. Or are you saying it's like you wish there was more production, more set, more stage?
I also have to preclude this by saying that I didn't see any reviews of the show at all. All I knew is I was going to see Beauty and the Beast. I didn't hear anything before time. I didn't know anything before time.
The show is really selling out wherever it goes.
Right. It was a full theater.
Yeah.
I mean, the theater was full all the way up to the last row. It was full.
And even so, my dad's had, when we had, long story short that we were going to, but essentially the seat that was next to my dad was booked, but the person ended up not coming.
Yeah, it was empty. I'm
assuming that it looked like it was just a father and son, so it was maybe the mother or someone else.
Yeah, somebody didn't come because I was sitting behind him.
That seat was technically booked, so even the only seat that we saw empty was booked when I picked our tickets. So, but all right, let's transition into just a little bit of Disney news. I'll try to go quickly since I know we're a little bit over our normal time. So first up, the new animatronics for Frozen Ever After are in place. I think they look really great. I think the true question is how they will stand the test of time. So I guess we'll see.
They stay looking great and moving.
All right, the Flower and Garden Festival is coming soon. It will be from March 4th to June 1st. And Epcot, the menus are now available with over 70 new items. And there's a lot of returning topiaries, like Stitch is returning. And then plus they'll have some new topiaries as well, too. Over in Animal Kingdom, the cookie dough brownie ice cream sandwich is taking people by storm. That line is longer than some rides in Animal Kingdom right now. It is shocking how random things just pick up in the Disney community, right? But there was long lines. People are saying it's very good. Some people are saying it's very sweet, so you have to really like sweetness. Now, it's funny when people are like, it's too sweet. It's cookie dough and a brownie and ice cream. I know
what you expect.
Yeah, it's like, guys, come on. It's like you can't be saying it's too sweet. It's like, so, but it does look very good. There is a chocolate-covered marshmallow teddy bear in the France Pavilion. It honestly just looks really cute.
It looks cute, yeah.
Disneyland,
chocolate-covered marshmallow.
Disneyland over in California is discontinuing the green milk. So they said recently they introduced the pink milk a few weeks ago, and after the success of the pink milk, they said they would no longer be ordering the green green milk, and they will only serve blue milk and pink milk. Now, if you want the green milk, it will still be served in Galaxy's Edge in Hollywood Studios, of course. But just to note, I've never had the green milk. I don't think I would like the green milk. I've only ever had the blue milk.
I've never had any of the milk.
All right, the trailer for Toy Story 5 and the Mandalorian and Grogu movie are out now, so you can watch those trailers. A few more things. Cinderella Castle is still being repainted. A lot of the gray is showing to be very fresh as it comes in the blue and gray. There is a new food stand randomly in the middle of Festival of the Arts for the Norway Pavilion. Don't know why they just popped up this random food stand.
I think because they had it sells that school bread that everybody wants.
Bread, so.
And I think it's because they had every time we passed that bakery,
is crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I think this is their way of alleviating people standing on that line just to get the school bread.
Yeah, which I think is funny. Now, I've never had the school bread. I do not like coconut, so I know I would not like it.
I like coconut.
So that's why
I probably
would not
like
have
it.
But it does look very good when I've seen photos of it. And people who like coconut have said it's
But that's
good.
the big seller, and I think I think when I saw that news, I said they should have done that years ago.
It was just so funny. In the middle of a festival, they're like, the school bread demand is high,
guys. Too high. We gotta
get another festival booth for school bread. Like, goodness gracious, the school bread, right? So that's what I'm saying. Some of the random snacks in Disney are just so funny when you see stuff like that. All right, we're in the final days of the affection section before Bluey makes her big arrival to Animal Kingdom as well. I didn't know Bluey was a female. I thought Bluey was a male. I have no idea. I don't know much about Bluey right now. I do not have children, so I thought Bluey was a male dog, but perhaps it's a female dog. I'm not sure. Let us know what gender is Bluey. So, I don't know.
That's an open-ended question.
All right, editing Amanda to confirm Bluey is a girl. She is a female dog. I didn't know that, so the more you know. All right, Big Top Treats is temporarily closed for repairs after reported fireworks damage to the tent. So I did hear about that. So we'll see when that is opening. Yak and Yeti has a new secret menu situation happening, and it was very good apparently.
I saw that. How do you know about a secret menu?
I'm missing what it is in my notes here because I think I couldn't find it when I was doing my notes before. Yeah. But it's basically you just say, can I have this? And they're like, sure. And it's just not on the menu for you to read or something. So there is some construction scrim up on the Haunted Mansion. A lot of people are very disappointed about this because it looks a little crazy. So just a skim basically. So some people are saying it looks a little silly, but again, that's what they have to do when they're doing maintenance on it. So, all right. And then last but not least, I think that's all we had here. So, all right, awesome. That was our Disney news. So now we can transition to our final segment of the podcast, our Disney memory. I kind of already gave my Disney memory when I talked about some of these things.
Well,
but
I'll just make it a new memory. We went out. We had a nice day. It was very nice.
It was very fun. Yeah.
It was very fun. The woman next to me was complaining about her daughter was giving her a hard time. So I looked at her and I said, oh yeah, I miss those days. I said, I'm here with a 30-year-old. She says she's probably more patient than this one.
It was a very fun day. So for reference, we went with myself, my parents, my husband, and my two friends from high school.
Yes, we had a good time.
It was very fun to see this show again. I was looking forward to seeing this show since they announced it because I just love Beauty and the Beast so much. So I knew no matter what I was going to like the show. Yeah. So and I did. I know we critiqued it a lot in this podcast episode, but I did really love the show.
That's what we're here for.
I did really like it. Yeah.
I mean, I still say, generally, if you want to see Beauty and the Beast and you love Beauty and the Beast, I'd go see it.
Yeah. And again, I didn't even really think about dressing up, honestly. So it makes sense a lot of little girls did dress up because I wouldn't have even thought to do that.
Costumes.
So part of me is kind of like, I wish I did dress up a little bit more instead of just wearing my regular clothes.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was cold and rainy, so
it was cold and rainy
we were lucky what we had to dress in.
It was very fun, though. But all right, thanks everyone for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. Make sure you give us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure, again, you let us know what your thoughts are on Beauty and the Beast, or maybe the cookie dough brownie ice cream sandwich. We'll love to know your thoughts on that on our Instagram, Almost Amanda X, which will also be linked in the description. But until then, we'll see you real soon.
All right, bye-bye.